There are people in the world that are going to tell you that Flesh and Blood is a pay-to-win game. Legendaries do indeed help increase your win rate, but not as much as people make it seem to be. You are roughly looking at a 0.25% up to a 0.5% win rate increase per legendary item, and that highly depends on which format you play in. And Blitz legendaries are going to have a much higher win rate increase than it does in Constructed, for example. So does spending money help you win more? I suppose so, but marginally. Are you ready to plunk down $200 for something like an Arcanite Skullcap, so just so you can win that 1 in 200 games that you would normally have lost? Not really, right? You know what else marginally increases your win rate that doesn't cost $200? A nice warm cup of green tea. Don't believe me? Have a look at this scientific article right here. As you can see, green tea improves your brain function and thus helps you win more games. And with 69 citations, you know this is some serious research. But I guess those are not the budget alternatives you were looking for, so let's jump into the video right away then, shall we? There are many legendaries in the game. I'm going to be covering them per card slot so that you can find the piece that most closely joins in with your personal playstyle. There are very few legendaries that I would consider mandatory and a must-have, but if there's one card I would call an exception, it would be the Storm Striders for the Kano deck. Storm Striders allow Kano to do their full combo turn during the opponent's turn, which in particular can increase the win rate of a Kano deck, at least in Blitz, by a solid 5%, I would say. Regardless, other semi-class makers and somewhat significant pieces are cards like Mass of Momentum and Skullbone Crossrep, each adding at least 1% to the win rate of the decks they go into. You could adjust your playstyle, however, to make up for this loss in percentage. Ninja, for example, can play an aggro build instead of mid-range, and Ranger can use items like Honing Hood to set up their arsenal and include more top deck manipulation in the main deck to make up for the loss of a Skullbone Crossrep. As for the other cards, let's get into it right away then, shall we? The headpiece slot is one of the easiest slots to replace. Replacing a legendary like the Arcanite Skullcap is very efficient if you use a card like Hope Merchant's Hood, because a Hope Merchant's Hood lets you fix a dead hand and not lose tempo during a crucial turn. It also allows you to dig for defense reactions in a pinch if you really need them. Light and Shadow players have two very significant pieces available to them in the form of Hail of Illumination and Ebb and Fold. Both of these work into the mechanics of the Light and Shadow heroes, giving you additional cards in the Banished Zone or your soul, and providing you some additional card draw. If you want a straight up block, you could run items like Iron Rod or Iron Hide, but personally I feel these are just nerfed versions of the Skullcap, and in that case I feel it's better to just go for something like the Hope Merchant's Hood. And then there's of course this lovely Guardian piece that you can use if you're a Bravo or even an all-team player. I did consider putting all the Majestic pieces of Crucible of War into this video, but since those are Majestics and since Crew is out of print and I don't know if any of these will be reprinted anytime soon, I think it's better to just stick with the common cards for the time being. But I might do a future video if these pieces do not really spike in value over time. For the chest piece, you usually see items like Fiandal Spring Tuning and Vestige of Soul, the tuning being the most important in most decks. However, there are some cards that are better than these, but are a one-time use type of deal versus the reusability of a Spring Tunic over the long run. Ardent Crosstrap, for example, reduces the cost of your next 2 drop by 2, outpacing the tuning by a full resource. The downside of the Crosstrap is that you need to use it at the start of your combat chain if you play a deck like Ninja that relies on the combat chain to go on continuously to trigger a Mass of Momentum, and thus revealing that you're about to have a big turn and your opponent may react to that differently by not blocking your Kodachis. But if you don't run a Master, you can activate this at any time in the middle of the combat chain because you don't really get any benefits from keeping your combat chain going anyways. Blood Drop Brocade is yet another perfect alternative since it has instant speed to give you the resource, but it does have the downside that you need to deal damage to your opponent first, which the Hardened Crosstrap doesn't have. But by using a Blood Drop Brocade, you do allow yourself to not give away too much information and allow your opponent to block the way you want them to. Runeblade has the 8 Iron Weave going for them as well, which grants 2 resources when you meet the requirements of playing a non-attack and an attack action card. The best part about this is that you can use these resources in whatever way you want, either for your weapon or to play some attacks or non-attacks. Plus this item can block prior to the activation, so you get that one block that the tunic would normally provide you as well, thus giving you the same blocking value as the tunic legendary with a little bit of extra spice. Deep Blue is yet another great budget alternative for the chest slot that you can use in order to fix your resources. For example, if you got like a full red hand, then you can simply put one card on the bottom of your deck with this chest piece and generate 3 resources that way. This can be especially powerful in a deck like Wizard. For the armed slots, I think only Warrior and Runeblade really play a Legendaries and those slot, but you do see the Shock Charmers going around once in a while with the Lightning Heroes. For Warrior, your best alternative is Gallantry Gold, since it can still block 1 damage, and its upside versus the Braveheart Braces is that it grants you 1 attack to every attack, not just 1. For Runeblade, if you play Briar, definitely consider something like a Mark of Lightning, but for all other heroes, I think Goliath Gauntlet is definitely a good include, or something like a Stubby Hammerers, as both are solid picks. As for Ranger, a Bullseye Bracer or a Mark of Lightning is best if you're playing Lexi, and that should pretty much cover everything that you need to know for the arm slot, which leaves just the leg pieces as the last slot to cover in this video. There aren't that many leg legendaries except for Warrior, Runeblade and Wizard. Your best bet is to just run something like Snapdragon Scales in Kasai, Bolton, Chain and Briar. Mage Master's Boots is especially useful in Kano and Viceroy and can also be used in decks like Bravo. And Refraction Bolters is an auto include for Dorinthia anyways, which shouldn't even be on this list, but I'll just put it out there for those of you that are still trying to somehow make the Warrior legendary work. And with that said, I believe that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that subscribe button and upvote the video. Also leave a comment down below. If you want to support the channel financially, there's always Patreon or becoming a member of the channel. And we have this beautiful playmat that will be up for sale on my website at kuganegaming.com in the near future. The website is still offline at the time of recording this video, but by the time that you're watching this, it might be online already. It should be online around the 5th of December anyways. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you all soon with the next video. I hope these budget alternatives will help you. Take care.